What's up, everybody? It's Grim, and you're watching Thrash Maniac 99 Wrestling, Gaming, and Metal videos. Hit the real intro.
What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to the Mosh Pit Reviews, the official Mosh Pit Reviews, not the What Else Came Out This Week show, but the review show where I talk about one album, a big album that was either voted in by you guys, the subscribers of this channel, or an album that was the only thing coming out in a week, and I decide, you know what, we're going to only talk about this one, and this week is one of the cases of the latter. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review of Rotting Christ's new album, The Heretics. But before I get started, a reminder, leave a like on this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and share this video with any other metalhead you know, and see what happens. But without further ado, with The Heretics by Rotting Christ, so a little brief history lesson for you guys. Rotting Christ is an extreme metal band that formed out of Greece in 1987 by two brothers. I believe their names are Sakis and Themis Tolis. And they're still in the band to this day, still together, still strong brotherhood, which is kind of a rare occurrence considering, you know, you had stories of the Cavalera brothers breaking apart for a while. So it's really remarkable that the Tolis brothers are still together as a band since the late 80s, which is absolutely amazing. But nonetheless, so musically, early on they were more of an extreme metal hybrid band, like death metal, grindcore, and black metal all combined in their early demos and EPs, until their debut album in '93, Thy Mighty Contract, which was more of a straight-up black metal album. And then shortly afterwards, a couple albums later, they start to become more of a gothic metal band, combining it with their black metal sound. But then, since around the late 2000s, early 2010s, their sound has completely evolved out of a straight-up black metal sound and into a more avant-garde, blackened, melodic death metal, doom metal sound, where it's pretty much a combination. It's more of a hybrid metal thing now, because they combine some avant-garde elements, some doom, some melodic death metal, some blackened death, all combined into their sound, especially on their last album, Rituals, which I did talk about 3 years ago, and I absolutely thought that album was monumental. How does this album stand up to Rituals? Well, the opening track, In the Name of God, certainly reminds me of the opening track on the album Rituals, and I can't pronounce the name of the opening track to save my life, but the opening track on Rituals, similar to Heretics in that it's got that like marching rhythm that sounds like a military march, and it is a crazy opening song. And then you get to, as I'm going to pull up the track list because I can't remember all the songs off the top of my head, but then you follow it with a track called Veltri Sly, or not Veltri Sly, Vitri Sly, or Vetri Sly. Which is one of the shorter songs of the album, which just comes in, sweeps away at you out of nowhere. But one of my favorite tracks being the fourth track of the album, Hallowed Be Thy Name. Now, some people thought perhaps, is this going to be an Iron Maiden cover? No, it's an original song, and it is fucking haunting. So dark, so eerie, and it's a good sing-along tune. Great riffage, some nice drumming. Then the one problem I really have with this album is the song I Believe, which comes in around track 6 of the album. This is the one clunker of the album. It's just a monotone song, nothing but spoken word, which, don't get me wrong, I like the spoken word aspect of this album because it added an extra layer of darkness and depth to the album. However, with just the whole song being spoken word and also the riff and drums never really changed, yeah, there wasn't too much variation on this track, which is why I feel the song I Believe is probably going to go down as one of their worst songs. But thankfully it picked right back up with the song Fire God and Fear, which is one of the singles of the album, I believe. And then it just continues on a roll with Voice of the Universe, The New Messiah, which is a great sing-along tune, and then the closing track, The Raven, where they sing about the Edgar Allan Poe poem, The Raven. I mean, it's kind of a cliche, but hey, they brought life to that story with this song. Now, some of the aspects about this album that I really, really like. There's some memorable guitar riffs, especially the opening riff on the closing track, The Raven. For some reason, it just reminded me so much of the song Sacrifice by Edge of Sanity, the riffs and how it sounded similar to one another. The drum work from Themis is on point, whether it's blasting or playing the more doomy style drums. But of course, even the lyrical content of this album is quite dark. After all, it's a concept album involving religious heretics, hence why the album is called The Heretics. But nonetheless, this is a great continuation of what they were doing on the album Rituals. However, they cut down on like the chanting style of vocals and into a more straight up, almost death metal vocal style. It's more of like a Tom G. Warrior grunt, which is a proto death metal vocal style. So for me, other than some of the riffs and the drumming of this album being black metal, for me, it's not a 100% black metal album. I feel this is more of a hybrid album of blackened death, melodic stuff, doom, avant-garde. I feel it's just a combination of all those elements, because you get like the more military marching riffs and drums at the beginning of In the Name of God. But also another thing I forgot to mention that I really liked about this album, the guitar solos remind me so much of classic heavy metal. So you can definitely tell Rotting Christ was definitely digging deep into old school metal roots when it came to how they wanted to show a little bit of flair and finesse with their guitar solos. In the case of Sakis, who's also the guitarist in the band, not only on vocals but also on guitar. The lead work shines through on this album, as it definitely gives you like a soaring quality into what is a rather dark but yet epic album. But with that being said, now how does it hold up against Rituals? I have to say I think this is a little bit better than Rituals. However, is it the new album of the year right now? I'm going to say no. I give this album a 37 out of 40. It is still a phenomenal album, but next to Soen and Swallow the Sun, it doesn't quite match up to those two albums, at least in my opinion. But it's still a phenomenal album. Highly recommend anyone who's into extreme metal to check this album out. If you haven't heard this album already, what are you waiting for? I highly recommend you go out and get this album, or find it on YouTube or Spotify, because it is a fucking phenomenal album. But anyways, what did you guys think about The Heretics by Rotting Christ? Let me know in the comments section below. And again, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already, do so right now. But until next time, peace out, and I will see you soon.